Hello, hello everyone. We are here, Elle and I, and we are about to talk about few topics. I hope you find interesting these topics. We've been chatting about them, but we are sort of gonna let ourselves flow with it and see what it comes through. These are light languages. They might come at some point because they help us to flow with the things that we are saying, and also they help us to expand the channel to get more information through. So the first topic we have chosen is the linear time versus spiritual time, and I'm gonna let Elle to start talking about it.
Okay, so we were talking about how divine timing can be like super fast, and then it can also be years. And spirit will tell us like, oh, it's happening soon, it's happening now. And then, you know, we're waiting, months go by, you start losing that feeling that it's even going to happen at all. And then it's gone. And then you're like, it never happened. And then suddenly 6 months later, you get that insight again that it's happening again, something shifted. And we're kind of looking into why is that, and what occurs, and what exactly is a linear time base in divine timing. And I remember the elementals on the solstice of 2020. I think I was having an interview with Sophia, who you know as well, Ismael, and the elementals came in and they were excited for a big event that was happening. And something shifted, it diverted. And after analyzing it, I saw where I diverted, as well as friends also diverted in a certain way as well. And when we go on the straight and narrow path without compromising, we stay in divine timing of things coming on the path. But when we compromise or we divert, we seem to get shifted, and that time is up in the air and different for all of us. Sometimes it could even be affected with the eclipses. Sometimes it, you know, like where do you want to go with that, Ishmael?
Yes, I do. I do resonate a lot with that also, and that's where I have found myself for many times in the past, when I was getting some information from a medium or from someone reading the tarot cards, and they were giving me some information that they were, look, Ismael, this is gonna happen in a month's time, or it's gonna happen soon. Sometimes they were not giving details, specific details about when that thing that I was wanting so much was going to happen. And I was getting always positive messages about it's gonna happen soon. And then I was waiting there for sometimes months, sometimes years. And at some point, certain things only happen after 10 years or even later in my life. So that's why we really wanted to talk about this. It's like there is some confusion when we are receiving messages from people who are channeling, and it's important to listen from the heart and discern. Are they talking to me, like Elle say, like in a linear time, or are they talking to me like in a spiritual level? If it's in a linear time, it might happen anytime in the future. If you are very connected spiritually and awakened, that might happen straight away, because you are connected and you are aligned with what you are feeling, and what is happening and resonating around you. So basically, Elle have explained all very well, super well, and yes, I can only say that this has taken me through a lot of headaches and a lot of frustrations, and I hope that with bringing this subject up, maybe we can start thinking more about it, meditating more about it, and learning how to discern when we are receiving those messages, and are we connected when we are receiving these messages? Are we connected to source when we are receiving these messages, or we are very much in density, like living the 3D day by day, and feeling like, oh God, I really want this to happen. Another thing I realized is that whenever I had the expectations, things were taking always longer to manifest. And whenever I was surrounding to source, things were happening. Once again, it's the same thing. Is when you surrender, you connect to source straight away. You don't put resistance to life and what things happen in life. When you create expectation, you want things to be or to happen in the time that you want. It's more like control by your ego. It's something based maybe in a need also that you have inside because you are desperate to get something. So in those circumstances, you might, because of that need or because of that trying to control reality, you might postpone what is just waiting for you to happen there. And from the moment you surrender, things manifest and happens to you. You might get that also in your experience here living life.
I love that. You know, that reminds me of something that happened yesterday. I had this thought come to mind because sometimes I do these missions with people, and we either go clear souls or we go to a place and do this and that, right? But sometimes there's been so much ambition or righteousness in the energy, and then that's where I had to shift my intention to just have like spirit oversee what I'm doing because of the human ego and the human righteousness, that I don't want to create karma or change any fates because of my desperation to change things now. And so it was, I heard pro-mission, and we get our gifts and we get permission to use them. But when we go on a mission and we abuse them, we lose the permission of certain gifts, you know? And I was like, oh, that's really, it's cool. And it all comes down to that cause and effect law of the universe. And I feel what we're talking about, divine timing, that all comes into play with that kind of stuff too, right? Like maybe it is coming in a month, but maybe you heard that to trigger a desperation because you're wanting it to happen now, and spirit knows that. So they're like, oh, let's see what happens if we say it's coming in a month. Does she get excited, or does she start being like impatient, you know?
Yeah, so and it's so easy to go from one to one side or to the other. It's so human, and I believe that we are learning from these experiences to let this energy of desperation go and trust more ourselves, and that there is an energy co-creating with us all the time. This is where we have more difficulties on that trust on ourselves and trust in the creator or source when things are manifesting in our lives. I know that this is a completely different topic that we can go on and on for hours, but it is very much linked to what we were saying, and yes, it's a matter of trusting more ourselves and trusting that everything that you really want there in your heart, yeah, it's very important to always reach your center and reach calmness, and send that wish to the cosmos, send that wish to source, send it there, but don't fall into that desperation, because that's gonna really make you go into different paths that they are gonna make you go back to the same point where you started, because this is like a pattern that keep repeating until we get that we need to trust ourselves and that we need to trust creation and source. And that applies to many things, so many things, if not to say to everything in life. Shakawati shaka. And yeah, should we go to the next topic?
I think so.
Yeah, cool. So the next topic is we wanted to talk about these situations when we are in a relationship, we are so in love with our partner, everything is perfect, but at some point the space between each other is not respected. And often one or both members of the relationship or both partners, they don't they are not aware that they need the space for themselves, they for their health, for their expansion and evolution. So I'm gonna let Elle to talk a little bit more about this, because I know that she has a lot of information too.
I think because we're talking to mostly quite awakened people and some newbies out there, welcome. Yeah, there's a need to incorporate a new style of relationship. There just is. There's boundaries that we're putting in everywhere, and there are boundaries that we need in a relationship as much to stay authentic to yourself, because when we have this love bombing phase where we found somebody that likes me, and it's like, oh, I like them and they like me, and you think like, there's butterflies and there's all this excitement in the air, and love is blinding. It really, really is. But at the same time, love isn't blind at all. And if we search for the love, right, like a lot of us find chemistry in a physically pleasing type of relationship at first, and then there can be flaws. Or the opposite, maybe someone starts making you laugh, you've known them a long time, and then suddenly you're just like fall in love that way. There comes a time where you got to go back to reality of self and self-growth, well-being in a relationship. And this is kind of where we battle, right? Because as soon as you need space to continue on your life, your partner is feeling neglected and worried that you've found someone else, and vice versa. And depending on the relationship, Ismael, we were talking about fighting earlier too, right? Some people don't want to fight. And yeah, we were on agreement of that. And if you're not a fighter, don't be with a fighter. Let the fighters go find fighters. Like we need to find new, beautiful boundaries to protect our happiness. I'm going to pass it over to you, Ismael.
So somebody who contribute to support that happiness, that light of you, somebody who don't drag you down, and who bring some sort of support and help for yourself to expand. And we are not talking about that help of, once again, conditional, when I'm helping you and I'm expecting something in return. No, it's about giving to your love, to your partner, whatever they want, whatever they need in that moment, whatever you feel trigger from your heart naturally to say or bring to their lives. And also it's important to observe our partners, observe how are they, not only from a selfish point of view of I need her love, I need that she provides me, I really need it badly, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it again. So no, don't try not to fall into these things, because you can get everything you want from your partner, everything, absolutely everything, just as a channel of the divine source. You can really help your partner shine and be brighter. And when you help your partner to be brighter, you get the benefit straight away, naturally and raw. We were talking also about why these things happen, why these fights happen, why, well, we were mentioning about few factors, and between these factors, one of them is fear to lose that person. Is the fear somewhere in our roots, in our subconscious. There is something that happened in the past where we lost someone, or we have somebody broke our heart, and then we don't want to lose that new person that come to your life. And then because of that, we trying to control the other person. We try to almost put into a cage that person, and that is completely the opposite of love. We need to really let yourself, starting from yourself, set yourself free, and let your love also be free. Let your love also expand, because that's the most beautiful thing that you can see in life. See your partner shining, blossoming, growing. That will bring so much to your life and to everyone around you. So that's what you want, really. And we all often fall into traps that we still don't read properly, or we don't monitor properly, and we let ourselves be controlled by emotions, and then we start controlling the other person and not respecting, and we stop respecting their space, the time to recharge batteries. And yes, Elle, do you have something else to mention about this?
You know, like with the journey too, is like we go in highs and we go in lows. And for some reason, when we come together with someone, it goes very high. And when it goes low, all those fears come. And they come to both people. Even if this person's needing space, they're fearing that by taking space, this person might leave as well. They both have fears. But we need to come into that place of up and down times. And then you've got different frequencies with people. So sometimes they're up, sometimes you're down. And then you're going like this. So sometimes relationships can have an off year, and we need to be strong enough in our other foundations of friends, because often we push away our friends when we're in relationships due to the other person and not wanting to make them feel bad, things like that. Also, there was something else that came to mind. It might come in again later, but because we were talking about one thing being fear, that when you need space, fear kicks in. Also, I found with the fighting, sometimes fighting would be used to get makeup sex. You know, it was like to poke to get what they want, right? And I find it's either fear of abandonment or manipulation. We were talking about manipulation earlier too, and how that needs to come to an end too, because as soon as you hear or say manipulation, that's a wound, you know, and we need to catch ourselves on those things, or you're going to get stuck in a 2-year plus relationship that is toxic. And not only for you, but for them too, right? It's like, yeah, it's complicated, but at the same time, if you just stay strong in your place, and like you said, when they shine, be that friend that is so happy to see them shine. And what are your skills that can help them shine, right? Like, it's so important that we enhance each other, because when your partner, like a true power couple, when your partner is shining, you are also shining. And then through their spotlight, you can grow too, and vice versa, right? So yeah, I find we're coming into a place on the awakening journey where a lot of us are going to be pairing off into increasing and expanding that brighter star. It's powerful, but you can't lose yourself. You can't lose yourself. And I think that's also a fear that we have. It's like, oh, I've been in a relationships, I lose myself. It's like, well, don't do it this time.
One
Stand.
of the reasons why we lose ourselves is because, like you say before, we start the relationship trying to please the other person. That's part of the nature of the relationship, to love each other and please each other. But that pleasing process shouldn't get to a point when you forget about yourself. Because from the moment you forget about yourself, you start taking energy from your partner. So that's why it's so important what we are saying here, that each side needs their space. Each side needs their space to recharge batteries, to self-recognize the everything they are dealing with. Because it doesn't mean that when you get into a relationship that everything becomes just like life disappear and everything becomes like a path of roses and everything is easy again. And yeah, it might become easier because you are in love, you have that extra energy, you have a partner, so it feels great. But often we fall into that feeling so much that we forget that who is responsible about recharging the battery is yourself. It's not your partner. Your partner will provide to you whenever she or he chooses or choose to provide. But that doesn't mean that they will be there always providing for you. So it might come a time when you need that energy. And if you have forgotten how to recharge your batteries, you might find yourself in a conflict or in a situation that is problematic, because you might feel like, oh my God, I feel lonely. I feel like I'm missing her. And then I'm missing him. And that missing is a confusion. It's not missing really. It's not true missing based in unconditional love. Is missing in terms based on need and in needing the other person's energy. So when we fall into that, when we forget about ourselves, we start draining our partner. So it's very important to keep the eyes always open, be aware, be conscious, and make every step with your partner in the right way for both of you. Not only for one, not only in a selfish way, not in a way that I really need to have the control in this relationship because otherwise I'm gonna lose him, or I really need to take control of this relationship because otherwise I'm gonna lose her. No, it's not about that. It's not anymore. We are not there anymore. And if you are there, please get back to your inner balance. Get back to your center first. And once you get to your center and your balance, try to share that balance with your partner and try to guide your partner to reach that balance also. And she might need to go somewhere for holidays with her friends or with her family in her own. And you might also have to take maybe some suitcase and travel somewhere just to have your due time and recharge those batteries, renew the energies, and then come back bringing that love and new energy for a healthy relationship. And
Kind of interesting because we bring all this baggage from our old relationships. You know, it's like, oh, well, they cheated on me. And then when this person is just going on a vacation, you kind of have that fear embedded, right? It's just like, oh, well, you know, and then you have this crazy time when they're away. Whenever we're depleted, worried, impatient, possessive, controlling, we're triggered and we go into a state of blaming, you know. And so then you start creating all this resentment and remorse towards all these all these situations that are happening where nothing has even transpired yet. It's all that creation in our energy field of past betrayals and wounds and misunderstandings. So yeah, it's not to say relationships are easy. And I do feel that you have to come into a certain percentage of a healed person to really step into a fifth dimensional or higher type of relationship, I think, on this path, you know, of conditional love. Like
Definitely.
what you need, you want for your kid, or for your kid, if you want for your partner as well, right? Because when I was pregnant too, they taught, once you have your kid, make sure that you feed yourself, you drink water, you never have to go to the washroom, like make sure that you go pee when you need to go pee, because if you just, and sleep was also very important. There's certain needs that we need to have respect and compassion for people. And these are all space and boundaries. They're very essential needs. And for some reason in relationships, these things get underlooked. You know, it's like, well, you did this yesterday. You said you were going to do this, but maybe something came up, or maybe some kind of, you know, you're going through a trauma. It's such a new world that we're living in that, yeah, I look forward to a relationship, but it's also harder to find one in a lot of ways too.
And boundaries is a word that's often we use it in love. And boundary means a separation, which is something that you meditate on it, you say, wow, it's so opposite to love, because it means separation. And often in conversation between partners, they talk about setting some boundaries. Maybe you don't like that word. Maybe that word doesn't resonate properly in your heart because you are very sensitive to it. Use another word, because it's not about creating separation. It's the contrary. It's creating more like a certain order of coexistence. So it's not separating, it's creating harmony between you two. And often we mention that I need to set this boundary. No, you have to understand that I have to set this boundary with you. And then the other person feel like hurt because the other person just want to be as close as possible to the other person, just because he's so much in love. And yeah, there are many people who have come and talk to me and say, I don't know why my partner is trying to set boundaries with me. And they feel frightened. They feel like they are trying to go away from them. And I say, no, they are not trying to go away from you. They are trying to create harmony. It's totally the opposite. Sometimes the words bring certain energies that might also trigger people to go into things that are not. And that's why we also have to be patient with our partners, with ourselves. And instead of being impulsive, straight away impulsive and attack our partner, let's try to take things more easy, step by step. Let's give yourself time to process things, because emotions between two people that love so much can be like a spark of fire that can set a fire in seconds and can create an argument and a fight spontaneously. So maybe it's time also for all of us to also take relationships more easy, more like in another pace. Like let's take it easy. Let's listen to our partner, what she has to say, or let's listen to this man or woman, what they have to say, or anyone connected to them, because often people connected to them, they have a lot to do with what they are talking to you. So yeah, let the space be, because it's lovely. And once again, this space is not separation, no at all. It's bringing you together more than ever. It's not about creating a boundary between you two. It's about connecting you two in the most highest level. That creates by nature what both of you need, without even asking, without even thinking. And yes, like Elle said before, they are not easy. Relationships are not easy, but also are the experiences in life that teach us the most. So they are sacred experiences, sacred things that we should honor in life when we are with someone. So start by creating consciousness about that, about if you're starting a relationship or you are already in a relationship, honor the relationship. I mean, be thankful for being in that relationship, because you are learning, you are expanding your soul there, and you are becoming a much better person. The other person doesn't even need to do anything, let's say, with effort. Is most of it, if you are in alignment, it will be effortless and everything will flow, and that person with you will support you in ways that you cannot imagine, because it's really a divine relationship. Every relationship is a divine relationship, even if it's really, really bad. I know that this doesn't sound right and might not sound right and might trigger some anger in you, but with time, if it's a toxic relationship, you might come out from it. Once you heal it, you will start passing page by page about everything you experience with that person, and you will realize that that person was bringing a lot of wisdom, a lot of remembrance to your life about who you truly are, and about what you truly need in life, and how to go ahead and how to improve everything around you and with you.
Okay, should we go to another one?
The next one is conversation versus debate.
Right. I remember we were talking about this last week, and it's interesting because in Spanish, debate and conversation are the same thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in the way that people discuss it in like verbally, let's say in the street, it is like colloquially, or yeah, like from friends to friends, like that. If you go to the dictionary, you will find the same definition, but the way that is used between people is very, very, very much very, very similar. So debate and discussing is practically the same. There is nothing with a connotation of being against the other person in any way if you use debate, for example.
Yeah, and I finally in English countries, I find when we have conversations, often when we're discussing, depending in these relationships that we have, they turn into debates. Or even if I have a conversation or I tell you about something in my day or my life, then suddenly someone will give me their opinion on what I'm talking about, or try and change my way of how I experienced what I experienced, when really I was just sharing. You know, there's just that to agree or disagree. And do you need to nod to agree, or do you need to give your 2 cents all the time when you're listening to people sharing?
Exactly. We come back to the same thing about relationships, where any type of relationship, in this case, it doesn't need to be a love relationship. Like we were talking before, it's any kind of relationship with anyone. Do you always need to persuade or convince someone or be the right one in a certain issue or a certain situation that you are coming across with? Do you have to always impose your opinion? I believe that Elle shared this opinion with me. If she doesn't, doesn't matter. She has her own opinion as we are talking, and that's wonderful, because that's the way we find, especially in this time of transition and evolution of humanity. We really need to reach to this next level of allowing everyone to have their own opinion. Listen to everyone and let them say whatever they need to say, because you never know. They might tell you what you really needed to hear. And maybe in that moment that you are talking to that person, it doesn't resonate at all, and even might trigger something inside from the past. But let it happen. Listen to people, listen to them, and let them have the chance to express themselves, because you might go away at some point in any time in the day and remember that conversation and say, oh my God, she was right, or he was right. And this is actually something that I need to apply into my life. And that's why I was feeling so triggered inside. So whenever you're feeling triggered, instead of attacking, hold on a little bit, and let the other person express themselves. This is something that will bring a lot of health in your relationship with anyone. You don't need to convince anyone about anything. Everybody's unique. We are experiencing so many things. We are bombarded by so many emotions, so many things, from the moon, the zodiac, partners, relatives, our pets, our jobs and roles in society. So many things bombarding us at all time. So what does it mean? That makes us be human beings having unique experiences. So you cannot be right all the time. There is not only one right thing all the time. Some things might be right for you at a certain point, and for the other person might not. So let the other people be, let the other people have their own opinion, instead of debating and pushing them down and trying to convince them about something that they might give you sign, or they might be giving you sign that they don't resonate already. And you can tell that just by looking in the eyes of the other person, or in the feeling in your guts or in your chest. That can tell you, is that person really following me, or that person is really just saying, nodding like I'm an idiot and just saying yes just to avoid this situation and go on with the next thing. It's important, both things.
Go on with the next thing. I love that, because we need to do that more.
Yeah.
Don't worry if you don't agree with it.
Doesn't matter.
Go on to the next thing. Let them be in that place where they are. This is something I've been really learning over the last year, because I've always needed that last word, but yeah, why?
Why do you need to convince anyone?
Yeah, it's
why?
almost like,
what are you proving? What are you proving? What's the price, really? Ego?
See them again. Sometimes you have these conversations with complete strangers, and they go into a debate, and you might not even see this person again, and you just spent all that time and energy for no reason at all, when, like you said, you might have just gotten one single sentence that was going to pop in your head later that day that was significant, and it was a gift. Yeah. And that ego of defensiveness just kind of clicks in, and then that whole conversation becomes a thorn in your side that day, when really there was a tidbit of information that
maybe it was bringing something really important to you. And we so constantly block these messengers, because we can be all messengers. It's not about one Jesus that is going to come, or one prophet. We are all channelers. So that message that you need can come from anyone, any of you really. So let them talk, because and also you are light workers, and you are so much into giving. often we get so much into giving that we forget about that receiving, and we forget that we might need sometimes also help, and that help is provided by the people we interact with. It's not, it's very often it's not about me calling Elle and saying, Elle, I have a problem, can you give me a hand here? No, often it's just about texting her and send her something, love, or even a post that we found. She also sent me sometimes posts, and she shared them with me, and that brings me something magical, really, like a message. Just yesterday you sent me something, and that brought so much motivation for me to go ahead with what we were talking about.
It was Generation X.
The Generation X, exactly. Yes, she sent me a video about the Generation X. She's from the well, I shouldn't say that, should I? We are from the Generation X. Anyway, I'm not gonna say our years.
I think it's 1960 to 1980, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are in that
We're closer to
in that window, and yeah. So you never know. You really never know when something is gonna come to you and really give you that, sometimes something so insignificant and so unexpected that you say, how can the message come in this form? And it's maybe just in a video that was randomly there, that she sent it to me, like just because she liked it. She found that resonating energy, and she obviously knew that I belong to the same generation, so she shared it with me, and that was for me what I needed in that moment, really. So if in that moment for some reason I don't create a space to listen, or I just ignore that message, that's it. It's gone. It's there. It's floating somewhere there in there, and I'm not getting that. That helped me so much yesterday in going ahead with what I was going processing, no, and yes, with life is always like this in any relationship. Allow now more than ever people to talk to you. Create that space. Let them talk to you, because in these times where people, most of the circumstances or situations, in these times that we are living, there are gonna be people who resonate with you, and that's why they are coming to you, and they might have that message, that lovely message that might be not even lovely in the surface, but it might have the message within somehow and trigger it within you. So it's important, it's very important that we start having more discussions, and maybe not that many debates. If you find that the debate is taking you somewhere fruitful, okay, go ahead. Is creating a brainstorm of ideas for something that you have as a project or something like that, great. If it's bringing positiveness, great. But if it's creating putting down the other person or draining their energy, that might have happened to you so many times, that you might get in that debate with someone, and then when you finish the debate, you feel like, gosh, I don't have energy. I'm really like a zombie. I feel really like, what did I do? What did she do to me, or what did he do to me in that moment? And you are just puzzled there, because you need the energy to also see that situation from perspective, and you don't even have it. So you are like lost there in the nothingness, and you need some time to get back to your center and say, oh God, I really didn't need to go that that far in that conversation, trying to uh, make my opinion more visible or more important than the other person's opinion. There's no need for persuasion.
No.
It's more about sharing, and if the other person feels good with what you are sharing, well, that connection will continue, and things will prolong in that relationship or conversation. But if it doesn't, that's it. It's okay to stop a conversation and go on with the next things. It's okay. It's okay. Don't feel like you were not interesting for the other person, because often, because of the programming, when someone stop talking to us, we feel like, oh my God, she just didn't continue talking to me. Maybe it's because that was nonsense what I was talking about. No, that's not the maybe it's not the reason. Maybe the other person just got what she needed to listen, and that's it. And she needs to, or he needs to go to the next step in their life, or to do something else, or talk to someone else. I don't know, but
Yeah.
this happened to all of us in our day-to-day life, no?
Discussing, disagree, agree, don't debate.
Yeah.
Because debating, yeah, we can't prove any of it. That's why it's a debate. That's why people are on one side or the other, and it's all separation. And when we choose to discuss something to, because I remember hearing flat earth for years, and I was just like, well, it doesn't really matter to me if it's flat or not, because I'm awakened to other things, right? And it's also something that I can't prove. But I did have a conversation with someone about it, I guess about 2.5 years ago. And it was really interesting. And I'm glad that I was open-minded that day and had time to sit down so I could see diagrams and all this. And I understood where that conspiracy was coming from. And so, yeah, it's when you can be in a place of discussion, even if it changes your viewpoint or not, it's going to expand. When you go in a debate, you're just in an egotistical defensiveness of trying to prove why you're right on a situation that you don't even know for 100% is even true yourself. And you're almost trying to convince yourself that you're right in that moment with that person, And yeah, it's a lot of wasted time and energy. It
It
really is.
is. It is, and often we rather also have observed this in also mainly in all societies when I've been traveling around the places where I've been in Europe and in the Middle East. People start having conversations and discussing things, and then you can see that the other person is in total disagreement, but they don't say anything. They don't communicate that they are in disagreement. And I truly believe that the communication of disagreement is really important. Why? Just because the other person, if he's sensitive enough, like we are here, we're going to feel it straight away that you are disagreeing and you are nodding with the head. So we bear in mind that there are a lot of people already there who are awakened and can tell about when you are in disagreement and you are nodding with the head, saying that, yeah, that you are in agreement. So on one hand, that you are lying to yourself if you are doing that. Secondly, a conversation or discussion is happening between you two. So it depends of you two if that conversation is going to be a healthy or reachful conversation, or it's going to be a nonsense conversation or disturbed conversation. Because if you don't go with honesty, if you don't go being honest with what you are listening or what with you are saying, that's gonna create a disruption in the energy level, and the other person's gonna feel it. And there are a lot of people who are not spiritual, but that doesn't mean that they cannot feel that you're not following, or that they are not following you. They can feel you, they can feel that. And that's why they might turn their head, or they might not pay more attention to you, because you are not being honest. Once again, first with yourself, and then with that conversation that you are having together. Why we don't communicate disagreement? Why do you think we don't communicate when we disagree about something else?
Confrontation.
Confrontation. To prevent confrontation. We've been punished for so many years, for centuries, for thousands of years. Every time we have got into a disagreement, we have been killed, we have been punished.
Yeah.
So there is still that fear.
Yeah.
Sorry?
How many people have like mothers and fathers that as a kid, they talked to them and they just got, and right away that was like, you be in agreement, you respect your mother and father, so these little children at a small age, they're being that's what you do. You don't want to get
when they grow up, they note to everyone whether they agree or disagree with anyone. And that's really create a miscommunication, because communication goes in so many levels. It's in an energy level, and that's why we feel like continuing in a conversation. It's not only in an intellectual level. Yeah, it is, but also comes hand on hand with the emotional and the vibration and the frequency that you have with that person. And so when you put it together, you feel like, oh, it's so good to talk to this lady, or it's so good to talk to this gentleman. I'm not even specialized in this subject. I'm not really, I haven't even studied this subject ever in my life, but it's really interesting to talk to this person and give my opinion and exchange each other's opinion. And why is that? Because you are taking care of a real, raw, authentic connection there. Connection. Exactly. And that's what brings us together. And that's why we need to get and touch into these elements of communication. And Elle and I, we will go ahead touching more and more elements, and you will see that in our videos we will talk a lot about this, because mainly at the end of the day, like as Elle just mentioned, it's all about that connection, communication connection. That's why since I was a little boy, I fell really, really in love with languages, really in love with anything to do with the different languages, and people who were coming from abroad to my city. I just wanted to understand that Japanese. I wanted to understand that English. I wanted to understand that German, because I knew that was creating that feeling that children know that exist, know that create unity between people. And when you are a child, that's what you want. That's the way you see the world, the entire world. I still do. But I also got through a lot of things, and I got lost many times. But obviously, I came back in 2012, back to that child connection, and understanding that to me the most important thing is really communication. And that's why when light languages came to us, or we came together with light languages, that's why to me it's so important. It's so, because that's what they do. We might not know in the group each other in our personal lives, but it doesn't matter, because light languages put us together in ways that we cannot even imagine or understand with the mind. Only with the heart is how we can perceive. It's like Elle mentioned at some point, the other day, that at some point it's also overwhelming, and it is overwhelming to me also, and it's overwhelming if we try to put that sort of connection with some sort of understanding with our mind. But from the moment we say, let's relax, let's just take this moment for us, let's enjoy, boom, that's the moment when we start having a journey. Because when I ask after the intervention, the transmissions, the collective light language transmissions, everybody looks, when they come back, like they've been in a journey. They look spacey, and it's so beautiful, so lovely, and you can tell in their eyes that they have had a break from whatever they were experiencing before. Right. And that's the beauty of it, and that's the beauty.
How many times do we do that light language and nobody has anything to say at all? And yet we just went through a huge experience together, and there wasn't anything to say, but we shared space. Yep. We respected each other's boundaries. We shared space. Maybe that's a new word for boundaries. Creating space.
Creating a space. You know?
Because when you were talking about boundaries earlier, I saw like a castle with a moat, and the moat being the barrier in between the relationship. But on the contrary, when you're in a good relationship, you put a bridge over the moat and you invite that person into your castle, because they know the rules or the space needed, or the space that is had in the huge castle, that there's more space here for other people to live. You know, it's like, oh, I have space in my life. I have friends, I have work, I have this, I have animals, kids. And then but I have this room over here, and you could come and live here in the castle too, you know,
and enjoy this that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
And in psychology or in spirituality, or whenever we are supporting someone, I truly believe that that, let's say, like a replacement of words for just to talk about the same thing, I think it has a huge impact in people, because I can tell that in the way that their eyes react when you are using it in a, let's say, in a like a coaching session that I'm coaching, and whenever I mention you need to set boundaries there, why I'm gonna set boundaries? Well, I'm not meaning boundaries as literally the word means. I'm trying to say that you need to create some harmony in your and I need to clarify that often because of the emotional reaction that people who wants to be with someone wants to yes, they wants to get back together, they wants to get close, and they don't want to create and set boundaries really. And that's at the end of the day, everything we are talking about is the same thing. Because everything in a way is bringing us together, and that's why we are doing these chit chats. Elle and I, we are bringing up to the surface these subjects so that we can stimulate ourselves and bring it up to the surface and start meditating about these things. And if you have any opinion and you want to share it with us, we are more than welcome to receive it. You are more than welcome to write it down, and we will be happy to receive it. And if we find the time, I know that Elle is very busy, I'm very busy, but we make our best to respond our messages. So it's been wonderful. We will bring more subjects. The next time we might make a video bringing different topics, and we will ask you which topics you like, and then we let you choose, and then Elle and I, we will proceed talking about them.
Thank you, Ismael. Thank you guys for watching us, and we'll see you soon.